Last year, April, we had a fire in our commercial property in my shop. And the fire brigade like on the report, it says the fire started from next door shops' bin, and then they spread it to ours. So we appointed independent claim company under no win, no fee, because I had so much on my head. So we kind of appointed them. And then they fight it through. Sadly, the property, my shop property is owned by my family member, whose building insurance was expired 2 months prior to the fire.
Sorry, so just say that again, Bryn. I missed that.
So the building insurance for the property expired 2 months before the fire. So the claim company came back to us and say the next door who caused the fire, they're not accepting any liability.
Okay.
So they can't process anything further. If we have to do it, then we have to take next door to the court from our own expense. So I spend almost about 95 grand, which is the money I borrowed from my friends and families to get the business up and running.
Yeah.
So my my stock insurance, which I insured for 25 grand, I got it from my insurance, my own insurance.
Bryn, I'm just stopping you there. Unless you can formulate your question quite quickly, I'm just worried this is a little bit complicated and high value for a 3-minute phone in on a radio programme.
Okay, so where am I standing? If the next door is not accepting the liability...
Well, first of all, were you insured? Can you claim on your insurance?
Yeah, I can claim for my stock damage, but my building side of it, which all the contents and everything else, is not.
So you didn't have buildings insurance that covered fire damage?
Exactly. I mean, that's what they're saying, because the building owned by my cousin, who's insured, the building insurance expired 2 months before the fire.
Right. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Whose responsibility was it to have insurance, buildings insurance, under your lease?
That's my cousin, yes.
So basically it's your cousin that owes you the money?
Okay.
I'm asking you. Your cousin is in breach of the lease. He's the landlord, you're the tenant. Your cousin is in breach of the lease, a term of which is your cousin has to provide fire insurance.
Right.
Am I right? Am I understanding this correctly?
I don't know. That's the thing. Because
this is fairly important. Let's break it down. You can always sue the neighbour. I'll come to that in a moment. But I'm thinking first about the easiest course, which is your own insurance. Yeah. Under your lease, you are the tenant. Your cousin is the landlord. Have I got that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Lease means because it's within the family, because we kind of had a verbal lease, not proper anything written.
It's a verbal lease. Okay, so there's no written tenancy agreement.
No.
So why did you say he was obliged to provide the building's insurance?
No. I mean, normally, for the building, they have insurance, which his insurance.
Let's start this again. Is your cousin obliged to provide buildings insurance under the oral lease, the verbal lease?
No.
Okay.
No.
So did you never discuss who would provide buildings insurance?
No.
Right. So did your cousin have insurance which he deliberately let lapse because he thought you were going to do it? Or did he accidentally let it lapse, thinking it was his responsibility?
Accidentally let it, yeah.
Does he accept it's his responsibility to provide insurance?
Yes. He said he always insured the building, but because he had so much things going on with the family, he totally forgot to renew it.
I'm assuming though you don't want to sue your cousin.
No.
Right. So I mean that would be the normal first course, to sue the landlord for failing to insure the building, but you don't want to do that. That leaves you with the option of suing your neighbour for starting the fire, which you're able to do if you can show that the fire was started negligently by the neighbour. If, however, it was some teenage yobbos who came along and lit a fire in a bin, your neighbour's not going to be liable for that. Do you know how the bin fire actually started?
Yeah, so next door is takeaway shop, the fish and chip shop, who's been twice. There was an incident happened. They had an oil leak from their bin, and then it's so slippery outside the road and everything else. And then the fire brigade narrow it down, and they said it's a hot oil and fat which has been put inside the bin, because that bin is within a secure area in their yard, at the backyard, is caused the fire.
Okay, I mean, forgive me, I don't know. I'm sounding sceptical, but I'm saying this from a position of ignorance. Can hot oil poured into a bin start a fire then?
That's what the fire brigade narrowed down, yes.
That's the fire brigade's advice to you, that that's how it happened?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
so in which case you
for
probably have a claim against your neighbour, which you could bring against their insurance company. Have you contacted their insurance company? I think you said you did.
So my claim company appointed an independent no-win, no-fee claim company who went through all the process, and they are still not accepting the liability.
Okay, and why is the no-win, no-fee company not suing? Have they given you a reason why they're not suing?
No, because until they accept the liability, that they can't do anything about it.
What a bunch of absolute drivel, Bryn. I'm sorry, you don't need to stand for that. If the no-win, no-fee claims management firm think that your neighbour is liable, their job is to sue. They can't only take a third of the money or whatever the percentage is if the insurer agrees to pay up. The whole point of a claims management firm is they run the claim for you. I'd get onto them and I'd start shouting down the phone at them saying, do your job, issue proceedings. Don't be so wet, don't be so insipid, don't accept their refusal to pay up as a reason not to sue them. Because otherwise nobody would ever pay compensation when it's owed. They'd just say, I don't fancy paying it. And dodgy claims companies would say, oh dear, we can't do anything about that. Kick some backside, Bryn, and get your claims company to do their job.